Hello again, everybody. Today's the day we're going to start with some Bible proof. And just so you don't think it only says no Jesus, it says no Jesus, no peace. My peace is wearing off a little bit though. But, all right, well, I'd like to start today with a quote from Terry Hall. He said, "The Bible is the strangest publishing piece of all time. No editor or publishing house oversaw over 40 authors in 20 occupations, living in 10 countries during a 1,500-year span, in 3 languages with 2,930 characters in 1,551 places. They had 66 books with 1,189 chapters, 31,000 verses, 774,746 words, with over 3 million letters. This sounds to me like a miracle in itself if you really think about it. How is that possible, especially when the central theme never changes and the Bible never contradicts itself? Think, 1,500 years, 40 people writing it, and it's perfect, unchanging. I can't even think about doing like a high school project with 3 other guys and having everything come out flowing so perfect with the same theme, never change in 1 week, much less 1,500 years, 40 people, the same theme. It's definitely has to be a book made by God. The proof that we're going to look at today, we're going to look at several different kinds of proof. The first one we're going to look at today is science. And I just want to be upfront. I don't have time to vet all this and go find all this research. It would take weeks to research what these other people I've listened to have. That's why I told you in the beginning, I listen to a lot of other people and I take a lot of notes. So most of these notes are from a pastor named Billy Crone. Some are from a pastor, Chip Ingram. Some is from, I don't know if I used gotquestions.org a lot, but I don't know if I used them on this one. But anyway, science says the Bible is true. Isaiah 40:22 talks about the earth being round. Mankind didn't always agree with this, but it became regarded as a fact in the 3rd century BC by Hellenistic astronomy in Greece. So before that time, people always thought the world was flat, and they proved that it wasn't somehow. And the Bible has scripture in Isaiah 40:22 talking about it being round. Genesis 1:1 says that there was a beginning. Albert Einstein changed a widely believed theory that the earth always existed and said that it had to have a beginning. Scientific laws say that the universe is composed of time, space, matter, and energy. In the beginning, which is time, God created the heavens, which are space, and the earth, which is matter. Then said, "Let there be light," and this started the energy. Thermodynamics' first law says that matter and energy in the universe is a constant quantity, but may be converted into other forms. This means that creation is finished. Psalm 102:25 through 27 proves the second law of thermodynamics, or entropy. Everything in the universe is slowing down and deteriorating. It's wearing out. Like Hebrews 1:11 says, evolution directly contradicts this law. The law of biogenesis, that life can only come from life. This law has never been violated by experimentation. Evolution would believe in spontaneous generation, which has never been observed. Jeremiah 33:22 speaks of an innumerable number of stars back in his day. Only about 5,000 stars were visible and known until Galileo created the telescope, which could see beyond them. So think about that. Like if you're way back then, the Bible says that there's an unnumbered amount of stars and you can count 5,000 stars in the sky. You're thinking that he took it a little bit too far. But Now we know that there's billions of stars. Astronomers believe that there are one, I guess not billions, it says one followed by 25 zeros of stars, whatever that number would be unbelievably large. Genesis 2:7 says that God formed man from the earth. Now scientists have discovered that all the trace elements in our body, which there's 28 base and trace elements, they're all found in the earth itself. So literally, there's nothing in our body that's not found in the earth. Ecclesiastes 1:7, the hydrologic cycle is described of rivers and ocean water. Job 36:27 through 28 describes the way rain works before anyone knew about the moisture evaporating into the air and creating clouds. Ecclesiastes 1:6 describes wind patterns 3,000 years ago, but science didn't discover patterns until World War II by the aviators who noticed different patterns. Job 28:25 spoke of the weight God established for air. We used to think air was weightless, or most of us now probably would, but it's actually not. There is an exact weight to it, and the Bible talks about that mass. This mass holds up a tremendous amount of water in the clouds. Job 26:7 said that the earth hangs in space. And a long time ago, they had all kinds of crazy theories about the earth, and if it was flat, it might be held up on the backs of elephants, and they weren't sure what to think, but they had some crazy notions. But now we know that it hangs in space, just like Job said. Job 38:16 says oceans contain springs. It was impossible until the 1970s to even know this, but submarines and research teams found springs coming out of the ocean floor. Jonah 2:5 through 6 states that there are mountains under the ocean. Science has confirmed this in the last century. Psalms 8:8 says that there are paths and channels in the sea. After reading this in the 19th century, Matthew Maury, an oceanographer, studied and found that this was true. There are certain currents and paths water follows under the ocean. Leviticus 17:11 says that life is in the blood. Up to 120 years ago, science thought that you could bleed out sick people. This is how George Washington died. They used to put leeches on people or just cut them and get rid of some of their blood. They thought that by getting rid of that, you'd regenerate better blood and then you'd be healthy. But the people that bled out too much, it didn't work out too good for them. Blood brings nutrients to every cell in our body. It is necessary for life. 1 Corinthians 6:18 says sexual promiscuity is dangerous to your health, and now we know that very well with all the diseases that spread. Leviticus 15:13 says to use running water to wash when dealing with a disease. Most people early in history, not understanding germs, used to wash in standing water, but then the germs stayed there. That's why God told them to use flowing water, but he didn't explain the germs to them. Now we understand the importance of washing under running water. Job 38:24 says that light can be divided. Isaac Newton studied this and found that there are 7 colors in light that can be separated or combined. And I can't remember if I'm right about this, but I'm pretty sure Newton studied it because the Bible said it. A lot of these famous people would vet these things that the Bible said, and I think this was one of those times he found that you could separate the light into 7 different colors. Job 38:19, light has a path that it travels. People used to think that it was instantaneous, but now we know that light travels at a path at 186,000 miles per second. Hebrews 11:13, creation is made of invisible particles or atoms. Genesis 7 explains why we have so many fossils from a certain time frame. Normally matter decomposes, much too fast or is eaten by other life before it could ever become a fossil. When the flood happened, geologists said that that the matter was preserved from bacteria and scavengers. So I've heard that one before, that when the flood came, it buried all these life forms under it instantaneously, and that's why they were preserved and turned into fossils. Because think about it, if a deer dies out in the woods, in 3,000 years from now, they're not going to find a deer fossil out there, because the deer is going to be completely gone in just a couple of weeks. The coyotes and the scavengers, parasites, bacteria, everything's going to break it down. So in order for something to have a fossil, it has to have a perfect situation and pressure, I think, were some of the things it needed. Moses commanded 1 out of every 7 years to let the ground not be planted. It was a Sabbath year. Insects must winter inside of the previous year's stalks to survive the next year. A year of no harvest would be amazing insect control. Ezekiel 47:12, healing is found in the leaves of trees. And later, now we know herbal medicines are very effective. Luke 10:34 says to treat wounds with wine and olive oil. They were not scientists, but now we know that wine has alcohol, which disinfects, and olive oil also disinfects, protects, and soothes the skin. Up till the 20th century, many people died from open wounds getting infected until this was better understood. A merry heart does good like medicine, it says in Proverbs 17:22. Laughter promotes healing. Studies now show that laughter reduces stress hormones, which increase our immune system to fight off disease. So actually, that proverb is true. So a merry heart and laughter is actually helps your body to have a better immunity. Many of the best scientists in history's past were Christians. Johann Kepler, Blaise Pascal, Isaac Newton, and that's what I was saying earlier about Newton with the color and the light. Robert Boyle, Michael Faraday, Kelvin, William Thomson, Albert Einstein, who was raised Jewish but believed in Jesus. I didn't know Albert Einstein was Jewish until this year. Never knew that. Nowadays, people act like you must choose science or Christianity. It was many scientists who depended on Christianity itself, and the Christians developed science. It's kind of like, I don't know what school it was. I think it's Harvard, Yale, maybe all of those Ivy League schools. They started out as Christian schools, and they were all about Christianity. And now you could bring any other religion in there, but I don't think they would be too kind to you if you brought Christianity around. But yeah, the smartest people back then, the scientists that studied all this stuff and tested what the Bible actually said, nowadays people think you have to choose science or Christianity, but it wasn't like that until recently. So you can definitely be a very scientific, intelligent person and be a Christian. And the Bible has a lot of proof for that. So that's all the proof I have on science, that all that I wrote down anyway. I know there's probably pages and pages more you could find on it, but those were just some of the notes that I had that I thought were pretty interesting. And I give mostly Billy Crone credit for all the research he did on it. Like I said, I don't have time to research something like that. And in this whole series, I just notes on other people that are way smarter, way better researchers than I am. But I just wanted to get that out in the open. This isn't all things that I'm finding, but it's things that I think are interesting and I'd like to pass on to you guys. So, and I try to just take the meat and potatoes out of their message and give it to you in a thick, like dense format, and because that's how I like it. I like all the fact. And I thought if I gave it to you like that and tried to keep this thing shorter, because I I'm trying to keep these things short, but sometimes you get to talking about things and it's hard. But like right now I'm talking. So anyway, I will let you go with that. Thank you for watching, and I hope you come back and watch again soon. This has been the Jesus Loving Logger, and I appreciate you guys.